going on, y'all? Nick here, coming to you with another video. So, you guys, I'm excited for this one. Why is that? Because we are going to be entering the chord number 2. All right, chord series number 2. Now this is going to be important, you guys, because if you guys were following me in the last video, you will know that I was teaching you guys how to understand musical chords. All right, and it's pretty simple. If you know your scales, which is the preliminary to even entering this course, then you know how to build your chords. All right, again, if you know your scales, we are thinking about playing diatonically, meaning diatonic is just a fancy musical term for every note that we're going to play is going to be within the scale. And so long as you remember that, you know that all you have to do is skip every other note within the scale in order to have a chord. So for example, if we're in the key of C, we know it's all the white notes, right? All right, good. It's all the white keys. All right. Now, what we will do if we were started on C, I'll do it with one hand so it doesn't confuse you guys. But if you start on C, and then you skip D and go to E, and then you skip F and go to G, that is a C major chord. And last time I was telling you that you can pretty much apply that same principle of skipping every other note, and you could do on all 7 degrees of the scale. So you could do it on degree number 1, which in the key of C would be C major, degree number 2, which would be D minor, degree number 3, which would be E minor, degree number 4, which would be F major, degree number 5, which would be G major, degree number 6, which would be A minor, degree number 7, which would be B diminished. And then if we go back to 8 is the octave. So again, we're back at C. It'll be C major, right? Cool. And I was telling you that I want you to do that in all 12 keys, you guys. You should be proficient at doing this in all 12 keys. Now, this is where this practice becomes interesting, all right? It becomes interesting because today we're not going to be playing the chords in its root position. The root position means that, let's suppose that, for example, we're playing C major, right? That means C is your root note. In other words, C would be the most bottom note, the lowest note you're playing. So that's called C major root position, okay? But today, the reason why this is inversions, because inversions is pretty much saying that you're going to be playing the same chords. However, the arrangement of those chords or the notes is going to change. So, for example, if we really analyze what is a C major chord, it would be C, E, G. All right, cool. Now, we're going to use those same exact notes, but we're going to rearrange them. So, rather than this note right here, which is C, I'm going to take the C up here. So it's still C, E, G, but notice that E is now your most bottom note, right? It's your lowest note. And that's what's called C major first inversion. All right. Now we could take that same principle, right? And we can take the E and we could take the E above or octave above. And that's also a C major. Notice the spelling of it in the chord section. It says C over G. That's that C dash G that you're seeing on the screen. All right, but it's still the same notes. You have C, you have E, and you have G. But this time around, G is your most bottom note. It's your lowest note. So therefore, that's called C major second inversion. Now, you guys, you can imagine that obviously you could do that with every single chord, right? I could do that with the D minor. This is D minor inversion. Excuse me, this is the D minor root position where it's D, F, A. And I could remove the bottom note, which is D, or that root note, which is D, and take the D above. So that would be D minor first inversion. And then I could do the same thing again, where I take the F and take it above, or octave above. And notice it still says D minor over A, right? So Again, you could do these principles over and over and over with every single chord, pretty much. All right. And obviously, I would want you to actually practice it, right? I want you to practice all your chords in every scale during the first and second inversion. All right. But I don't want to bore you by doing it because, again, that's pretty much taking essentially 12 different chords. Actually, not even. Man, I don't even know because technically you have C minor, C major, and C minor. So I guess almost 24 chords. Yeah, you pretty much almost have 24 chords and you times that by 3, right? So you can imagine how long that would take, right? So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to expedite your practice by teaching you a quick trick. And this trick is extremely important because, again, it's going to really unlock your playing. So first off, let me just tell you one thing. Why are the inversions even important to understand in the first place? Well, I'll give you a perfect example, right? Now, let's say if I'm playing, let me put my hands in the screen, and I want to show you something. If I was, okay, cool. So you could kind of see my hands, right? If I was playing C, and then I jump all the way here to go to F. Now, can you do that? Sure, it works. Right? It works. But is that the most efficient way to get to one chord, to get from one chord to the next? That's the question that we got to ask. So again, I'm going to go from C, and notice I have to jump to get to F major. Again, the question is that the most efficient way to go about it? Now, I would say the answer is obviously no, but why is that? So first we have to ask ourselves this. What are some of the common notes that is shared between C major and F major? So let's analyze it. In C major, we have C, E, G, right? In F major, we have F, A, C. So if you analyze that, and you can pause it, pause the video if you need to, but if you analyze it, you will see that the notes that these two chords share in common is none other than C. Right? So, in other words, if I'm at C major, what's the best way to get to F major? Well, I know that F major, as I've said before, has the notes F, A, C. Now, if we analyze the notes I'm already playing, E is close to F. So I could just remove my E and put it on the F. And I could take my G and go one up in the scale, within the scale. Again, guys, this is diatonic. And go to, I can go to A. So now I have the same notes that's present in the F major chord, which is F, A, C. But now notice what it says. If you look at that chord box, it says F dash C. Again, the proper way to read that is F over C. So in other words, this is pretty much a F major chord, but that's the inversion. Do you see that, guys? That's pretty much it. So I'm going to do it one more time because I want you to understand why this is such a groundbreaking technique for you to actually implement in your playing, and why it's going to help you moving forward. So I'm going to say it again. If I started at C, what we're noticing is that I can actually keep the root note, which is C, right? I could keep my root note, and I'm saying C now, but I want you to understand that any chord I play, I could use the same principles. You can keep the root, and the two top notes, in this case, it would be E and G. I'm going to move it to the right of the keyboard. I'm going to move it up by one note. And if I do that, E becomes F and G becomes A. And by doing that, I have my F major chord. Now, why is this important? Because again, essentially, rather than having to jump from C all the way to F, I don't have to even move all my fingers. I could just move two of my fingers and the root note actually remains the same. It's that simple. If you notice my hands on the screen too, You can see that I'm not doing such a drastic move, right? That's what's so groundbreaking about it. Again, in the world of music, you're always trying to do things that's going to make it as efficient as possible so that it's gonna make you play faster. And it's also gonna mitigate a lot of mistakes in your playing. Okay, cool. So now here's another thing I want to unlock for you, right? So we did C major, we kept the root note, and we took the two top notes and we went one note up, right? We took these two notes and we went up. And we got our F major chord. Now you can do the same thing, but in reverse. What do I mean? So from the C major chord root position, rather than keeping the root note the same, what I can do is choose to keep the top note, which in this case would be G. And I could keep the top note the same and take the two bottom notes, which would be in this case C and E, and I can move down. Right? I can move one note down. So if C would therefore become B and E would become D. And what do you notice? This becomes your G over B. In other words, this is your G major chord. All right. Now, again, if anybody knows me, I'm all about the actual music theory. So what did we actually do? All right. Because again, we could talk about letters all day, but it's not efficient to think about letters. So let's actually think about the numbers, okay? C in the key of C is considered degree number 1. So what you notice that if we're playing a root position C in this case, or the 1 chord, again, the 1 chord, if I choose to do the inversion where I keep my bass note the same or the root note the same and take the two top notes and go up, to F major. Well, what is F major in the key of C? Well, let's do it together. Again, C is degree number 1. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, okay. So if we do a chord starting on degree number 4, F, A, C, that's your F major chord, right? But again, we can go rather than jumping, we can do the inversion. Keep the root note the same and take the two top notes and go up. All right. I'm purposely doing it over and over so that you guys can kind of see it. It's more visual for you, but that's essentially what I'm doing. So if I do that inversion, I pretty much went from the chord starting on degree number 1 to a chord that starts on degree number 4. All right. Now let's actually analyze the other inversion that I did afterwards. If I kept the top note the same, so in the case of C major, if I kept the top note the same, which is G, and I take the two bottom notes and I went one note down, oh, it's a G over B. Okay, well, what is G in the key of C? Okay, so let's count it. C would be 1, obviously. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So G is 5. Okay, so you guys, essentially from your root position, right, C chord or 1 degree chord, C, right, I can easily go to 2 chords using inversions without having to jump so far, right? I can either do the inversion where my two top notes are going up, in which case I have a 4 degree chord, which is my F in this particular case. Or I can keep the top note the same and take the two bottom notes and go down, right? 1, and now I have a 5 degree chord. Now, you guys, this right here is so powerful. I'm telling you guys, it's so powerful. Why? I remember when I was going to school, my professor literally told me that you can literally play majority of the songs within the church. For those of you who might be wanting to play for your church, for those who want to play hymns, it doesn't matter. You could play majority of the songs in the church using those 3 chords, which is what? The 1 degree, the 4 degree, and the 5th degree. Back to the 1. Now, I want you to practice that in all your keys. So, for example, in just giving you how it would look like, right? In the key of C, it would be C, C. That was my phone that actually hit the actual keyboard. But let's do it again. So it would be C, F, G, back to C. I could do the same thing in the key of B, in the key of A, right? So again, you could keep doing it over and over in all 12 keys. But now I'll give you one example. I'm trying to think of a hymn, a famous hymn that majority of people know. Let's say Amazing Grace, for example, right? So if I was to play Amazing Grace in the key of C, again, understand this, right? Can you do more chords? Absolutely, and we will get there. But I'm just talking about if you're a beginner and you're just starting. Again, these 3 chords right now are going to unlock your playing in ways that you don't even understand. So again, I'm going to play Amazing Grace on the keyboard, and I'm only going to use those 3 chords, all right? I'm not going to do anything else, and I'm going to use the inversions of those chords, all right? So let's get it. So right? Notice I was able to accompany the whole entire song using just those 3 chords. Again, is it the best? Are those the best possible chords you can use? No, there are other chords you can use. But again, if you were a beginner and you're just trying to play for your church, and you're just like, man, I was just thrown up there, I don't even know what to do. Those 3 chords are gonna get you by, so long as you know where to actually, select each chord. All right. But now let's get off of that, because let's actually talk about how these chords are going to be beneficial in the future. All right. So for one, what I want you to understand is that later on, when we're going to do jazz and R&B, jazz and R&B are full of a whole bunch of 2-5-1s. All right. So I'll give you a perfect example. You have, matter of fact, I would like to play it for you guys, make it just a little bit more interesting. So bear with me. I'm going to go to All I Do, and this is going to be from Stevie Wonder. All right. This is going to be from Stevie Wonder. So I want you guys to analyze this, because I guarantee you guys, I think it's going to be very cool for you guys to actually watch it. Let's see here. Stevie Wonder. All right. So I want you guys to actually analyze this song. All right, so that song, hopefully I don't get no copyright strikes for playing his song, but the song sounds dope, right? And you probably are like, yeah, Nick, that's what I'm really here for. I'm here to play like Stevie Wonder. I'm here to play like these cats, that's traveling, touring. Okay, that's cool. But you got to slow down a bit, all right? Because before these guys were able to travel and do all that fancy stuff, they had to go through the music theory. They had to learn everything that we're learning right now, all right? So let's actually analyze that chord, because there's a chord that he does that, believe it or not, it uses the theory that I'm literally teaching you. I'm gonna play it for you first, and then I'm gonna break down the theory, and I'm gonna show you why those inversions was so important. All right. So the song was. All right, cool. So that's pretty much what he was playing on the piano. I'm gonna play along with him so that you guys could kind of see it for yourselves. But let's get it. All right, so you guys, all right, so you guys kind of see it for yourselves. But that's pretty much what he was playing, right? Now let's actually analyze why this is cool. Okay, so let's actually get back to the app real quick. Let's get back to the Ridiculous app. All right, cool, perfect. So let's do it one more time, and I'm gonna point out where those inversions really became crucial. Right here. Right here. Right? That was a very crucial chord. Now, why is that important? I'm actually going to play the same exact chord, and rather than using all the fancy, seventh chords, I'm going to do it all in triads because it will still work. The principle is still the same. Right? Right here. All right. So be diminished. Right there, you guys. That note is so powerful. That right there is, and this is kind of more so like I want to give you kind of like a glimpse into the future, but that's essentially a 2-5 chord progression. All right. It's a 2-5-1 chord progression. It is so powerful. And so many R&B songs, so many gospel songs, so many jazz songs, you name it. 2-5-1s. If you are a musician and you're trying to improve in your musicality, I guarantee you at one point in time you're going to encounter someone talk about 2-5-1s. All right. Now again, what is a 2-5-1? Well, just as I've always said, musicians, the higher the level you get, they no longer talk about letters. They talk about the numbers. All right, so 2-5-1 is pretty much saying that you're starting from a second degree chord, right? So like, let's go back to this key of C, right? It would pretty much, your second degree would be D, which would be D minor, right? And then your 5 would be G. Now I could jump over here and then go to 1. But do you see how much movement I have to do in my hands? I'm going to show you one more time, maybe so that you can analyze my hands for yourself. But look at how far I have to jump. D minor to G major, and then jump all the way down. Why do I got to do that when all I have to do is use the inversions? So the inversions would be 2, and then 5. Do you see that? And notice that movement. Oh, doesn't that look very similar to what I did before when I was on C and I kept the root note and I just moved the 2 top notes? Well, I'm doing the same exact thing here. I keep my root note. I kept my root note the same and I moved the 2 top notes. I moved it up 1 to get to my 5, and then I could go to 1. And notice my hands. Notice my hands. I don't move nearly as much as doing this. Versus the inversion. Look at my hands. Do you see how powerful that is? And again, that 2-5-1 progression is so common in jazz. I'm telling you, if you play, I'm gonna play it again for you, just so that you can see how powerful that chord progression is, because it's done in some of your most famous songs. Some of your favorite songs.
You mean my soul, burning burn. You're getting to be my one desire. You're getting
right here, this is that 2/5. You see that? So that's that 2/5. That's that 2/5, you guys. I'm telling you, it's so powerful. It will literally make a lot of the songs, and especially if you guys are into composing, it will make your song sound so much more full, so much more just powerful as a whole. All right. But getting back to the point. So what I want you to do for homework, you guys, is pretty much I want you to take all the degrees of the scale, and I want you to do this practice for me, right? You're gonna do, right? You guys are seeing it? So you have your C, and now I want you to do the inversion where the two top notes go to the top. I'm sorry, your two top notes go one note ahead, one note to the right, or one note up, and then you're gonna go back to C again, or your root position, the one chord, and then do the inversion where the two bottom notes go down and back to one. All right, so I'm gonna do it in terms of numbers: 1, 4, 1, 5, 1. All right, and you're gonna do that same pattern, but you're just gonna move up to D, all right, or your second degree. So and then go up again. You do the same pattern, but this time you're gonna start on the third degree. And then to the fourth degree. You're gonna do that same exact pattern for all 7 degrees. All right? And then eventually, because I taught you guys the circular fifths, after you do all that pattern in the key of C, if you go down the circular fifths, the next thing you're gonna do is do it on G. Again, it's gonna be the same exact principles because we're talking about diatonic, meaning that all the notes that you're playing has to be within the scale. All right. So hint, hint. If you're in the key of G, you're not gonna be pressing F natural. You're gonna be pressing F sharp. All right, because we gotta play all the notes within the scale because it's diatonic. All right. So again, I'll show you an example for G. Right. F sharp. But the principle is still the same. I just took my G. If this was my root position or one chord, I took that G and I went one down. And then I took my B and I went one down to the A. Do you guys see that? Again, do that in all your 12 keys. This is eventually going to help lead you to the 2-5-1 chord progression, which I'm going to go over deeper in another lesson. But you guys got to practice this first because it is literally the stepping stone to entering jazz, right? All right, again, I want to give you guys some encouragement. Once you can master this, all right, in all 12 keys, guys, once you master this, then the next thing we're going to be going over are seventh chords. Seventh chords is when we officially enter the realm of jazz. And then after that, we're going to go into playing some inversions so that now we can start playing some of our favorite songs on the keyboard. At that point in time, you're pretty much going to be really well off, all right? A lot of you guys who would like to accompany other musicians who want to be part of a band, this is what it takes, all right? You guys got to be able to play your chords and you got to be able to play efficiently, all right? Now, can you jump around the piano all over the place and go crazy? By all means, be my guest. If you want to look, you know what I'm saying? Maybe you want to look like you're impressing somebody, cool. But at the end of the day, all the audience recognizes is, does this actually sound good? They don't care how much your hands are moving. They don't care. Does this sound good? And I'm telling you, if you want to mitigate mistakes, if you want to mitigate being a risk taker, and then, pretty much crapping all over yourself on stage, the best thing to do is learn the inversions so that you don't have to make such huge leaps All right. Mind you, let me just add this in there. And I probably should make another video separately, but on the guitar, the concept is very similar. I'm gonna make another video that probably goes deeper. But hey, Lord supporter, what's going on? But again, guys, I'll go deeper in another video where I actually showcase the guitar itself in greater detail. But I'm telling you guys, if you're moving all over the place on that fret, you pretty much don't know what you're doing, because a lot of the notes that you're looking for are right under your hands, right under your fingertips. All right, you guys. Am I saying that you can't use the whole entire neck? That's not what I'm saying. And am I saying that you can't use the entire keyboard? That's not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is that it is not necessary to make such drastic leaps all over the keyboard when all the notes is right under your hand. Again, I don't need to go from F and jump all the way to G over here when I could just know that, okay, from F to G is right here versus, right? Why make such a huge leap? Why, you guys? It doesn't make sense. All right, so anyway, I hope you guys found value in this video. If you guys have any questions, please write down your questions down below, so that I can actually address them maybe in a future video. And also for future reference, if I'm ever going live and you guys have questions, please let me know so that I can perhaps answer it live. And not only will you benefit from me answering the question, but everybody else that watches this video, they might have the same exact question that you have, and you don't even realize how much you're benefiting them by me just answering the question right there and then. All right. I definitely appreciate that. Lord Supporter said, I like the way you're breaking it down. I really appreciate that, you guys. All right. That's my hope, that you guys will all be able to one day surpass me in your musicality, in your musicianship. All right, you guys. With that being said, Nick over and out. Jesus is king, y'all. Stay blessed.